Let me ask you about two critical things that when I first saw your site, I didn't see mentioned. The first one is I see that you support Israel, which no problem on supporting Israel. When I first came to your site, I didn't see anything about Palestine. So where do you fall in terms of Israel and Palestine?
Well, I am a Jewish American. I've traveled to Israel, and it's something that I think is a very interesting, delicate issue. Now, I do not support the Netanyahu administration. I think he has been one of the worst things, both internally for Israel and internationally for Israel's reputation, that has happened to the country in a very long time. I think that we absolutely need to be looking at how we can create a two-state solution that works, because I believe Palestinians have a right to have their own country there. And I think there's some really troubling things that go on both sides that make it very, very difficult for us to understand here in America where these things aren't happening. You know, without getting too deep into that specific issue, it's a very, very difficult situation. I support Israel as our ally. I support them as the shining example of democracy in the Middle East. But I do think that we need to make sure that Palestinians have some sovereignty in that region, that they have their own country, that they have international recognition, and that we can be a part of finding that solution the best that we can.
In your opinion, what is the greatest hindrance to that solution finding? I mean, obviously, besides hundreds of years of conflict in the region, but politically right now today, what can you do in Congress, and what would you like to see done with our ally Israel to actually bring that two-state solution to pass?
Yeah, well, so when I was in Israel, we were talking with a very liberal professor there, someone who, despite being Israeli, despite being Jewish, was very much in the middle on this issue. And there's a couple of things that I think aren't talked about a lot here in the States that are very divisive politically, locally to it there. And you have issues when they're trying to draw the border of where this new state should be carved out of. You have Palestinian states that have used, or Palestinian cities that have used to being under Israeli Western law that do not want to switch to a Sharia law country. You have an issue where Palestinians, unlike any other group, I think anywhere in the world, maintain their migrant status for generations, even though they've settled in Jordan. And that's because Jordan doesn't want to give them citizenship there. So they're sort of growing in population, whereas other people that might have been dislocated justly or unjustly, then when they settle next generation or two, they become Jordanians or wherever it is they settle. So these are political issues that are very difficult to deal with, because you have a huge population of Palestinians that exist 3-4 generations, and you have issues with where you're going to draw. How do you draw this boundary? Because there's some towns that want to be in Palestine, some towns that want to stay in Israel, but Israel says if there's going to be two states, that all of the Palestinian towns have to go into Palestine. It becomes a local political issue. It's very difficult. So again, I kind of a little deep in it, but
yeah,
as the United States, I think that, you know, we can be there and help these negotiations and use our presence in the region, our economic ability to sort of help solve this the best we can.
And absolutely. And I know I don't have you for 3 days. We can unpack that for 3 days straight, to be fair to the subject. So feel free, if you want to share some links or anything to supplement the conversation, I'll be more than happy to spread them. Let me jump to my last topic that we haven't gotten a chance to